Thank you for joining us. Welcome to LumioseStation.
What's up, LumioseStation, and welcome back to another episode of the Pokémon DataDex with me, TheOneIntegral. Last week we covered the only Mega Glade, and this week we're covering yet another Mega Evolution, this time from the X and Y set, and I haven't covered them all yet, obviously, rather than the Aura set, and that is Mega Alakazam. So we'll be looking for Alakazam, and then it's Mega, and then the sets for both of them. We have 1 week left of Mega Evolutions, so be sure to suggest next, in the comment section here for next week's Mega Pokemon and whatnot, which one do you want to see in the final Mega episode for a few, and then we'll go back to doing some normal Pokemon for a while, and go back to our usual every 5 episodes we'll do a Mega. So be sure to drop a comment down below saying now quickly which Mega you want to see next week. We've got 1 left for a break for terms of Mega, so do you want to see Mega Beedrill, got Mega Sceptile, Mega Swampert, one of those. Just let me know which one you want to see down below, and the one that seems to be the one that is wanted most I shall cover in next week's episode. But for now, let's get on to covering Mr. Alakazam here. So Alakazam, it's number 65 in the National Pokédex, is a pure Psychic-type Pokemon, and is the Psy Pokemon. Dimension-wise, it stands at 4 foot 11 inches tall, or 1.5 meters tall, so it's fairly short actually, and it weighs 105.8 pounds, or 48 kilograms. Again, not too heavy, I suppose. In terms of breeding and egg groups, it's in the human-like egg group, and it's primarily a male. It's 75% male, 25% female, so you're more likely to get a male Alakazam than the female one, or in terms of male Abra, etc. Evolution chain-wise, as I mentioned then, it starts from Abra, and Abra evolves into Kadabra at level 16. And then when you trade a Kadabra, it will evolve, unless it's holding an Everstone, into an Alakazam. And that is your evolution chain there, so obviously you can get a level 16 Alakazam. And since Alakazam is a pretty powerful Pokemon in terms of, if you're playing for a game, you can evolve your Alakazam as soon as you get Kadabra, as long as you can trade with someone, and you get a very powerful Pokemon very early on in the game, which is going to allow you to just glide through the game. It'll be very nice indeed. Base stat wise, as I just said, Alakazam's pretty powerful. If we look at base stats, we can see why. Health points, it has a base stat of 55, which is fairly low. Attack is 50, not that it uses attack at all, so again, we're not too worried about that being too low. Its defense is even lower at 45, so that is sort of a minor thing about Alakazam. It's not very physically defensive, so you are going to not be able to take too many physical hits, so you might want to watch out for that. But then we come on to the good stats. Special attack is 135, which is a very high stat, so certainly it's a very powerful Pokemon. Special defense stat is 95, this is actually up 10 from in Generation 1 to Generation 5, it was only 85, it's up 10 to 95 now, so, got a little boost in Generation 6, make it a bit more usable, have a bit of bulk, I guess, rather than no bulk at all. His special defense is fairly good, but then we come on to speed, which as well as the special attack is pretty high, is 120. Alakazam is a very fast, very sort of hard-hitting, special attacking wise. Then, looking at the abilities for Alakazam, there are 3 available. 1 is a basic ability which is Synchronize, which passes on Poison, Paralysis or Burn to the Pokemon that inflicts it upon Alakazam, so if you have a Rotom Wash burn you, Synchronize can pass that back. It doesn't work in all cases, obviously, but in some cases, for example, I can't think so. If an Alakazam Thunder Waved you, the other Alakazam would then get paralyzed, etc. The other basic ability available for Alakazam is Inner Focus, which protects the Pokemon from flinching. Now, this is a good ability as well, but its hidden ability is the best, which is Magic Guard, which means the Pokemon only takes damage from attacks. Now, unless you know about Magic Guard already, it might seem a bit weird, that description, but you've got to think about Sandstorm, Stealth Rocks, Poison. All these are not attacks, they're just there. So if you have Magic Guard on your Alakazam, it's not going to take any damage from Sandstorm or Hail, it's not going to take damage switching on Stealth Rocks or Spikes, it is not going to take damage from being poisoned. So while Synchronize would pass the poison on to the opponent, Magic Guard just nullifies the poison completely. So in my opinion, Magic Guard is better than Synchronize. Inner Focus could be good, but generally Magic Guard is better, especially in terms of particular sets that we might look at a bit later on. So, if you want to look at Alakazam's typing, it's a pure Psychic type, so there's nothing too complicated here, it's very basic. Resistance-wise, it's resistant to fighting and Psychic type moves, so it's resistant to itself as well, as most types are, to be honest. So it's only got 2 resistances, and it has 3 weaknesses, which are Bug, Ghost and Dark. These three moves, these three types aren't that common. Bug certainly isn't very common. Ghost of Dark, however, they're not super common like Water would be, for example, but they are a bit more common, especially with Knockoff being a very powerful move. Dark types, you know, are certainly a big weakness to have. It takes neutral from all the rest, so defensive-wise, Alakazam's not good. It has a very low physical defense stat, and its special defense stat isn't much better, but it's at least something. However, its typing really does let it down here because it can't really resist anything, and, you know, it's going to take neutral from a lot of stuff as well as free weaknesses. So really, you don't look at using Alakazam in a you know, sort of a defensive role. You could use Calm Mind on it, which is going to raise your special attack as well, but that would mainly be for the special attack rise. You wouldn't be using it to raise your defense. You're not going to have like a wish or whatever on Alakazam. You don't really need that. It's not going to help you much because you might wish up, but then the opponent's going to do pretty much exactly the same amount of damage. Alakazam is all about getting the damage on the opponent and not really worry about yourself, especially with the high speed stat we have. We don't have to worry about being slower and taking hits as long as we can, you know, take the enemy out in 1 or 2 moves. So, I was talking about hitting them with moves. Let's look at these moves. So, Alakazam, obviously being a special attacker, most of these are going to be special moves. We have got a few status just thrown in there for the fun of it. Highlighted moves. Okay, so first up we have 2 that can be learnt by leveling up as well as by TM. So pretty much all of the moves that Alakazam might want to use in battle can be learnt by TM. There are 1 or 2. You know, I'm not listing here, but there might be 1 or 2 you could. You know, it might be egg moves or level up moves, but generally they're all by TM. However, 2 of them aren't learnt by level up. We have Calm Mind, which can be learnt at level 42 in X and Y, level 41 in Auras rather, or via TM04, which is going to raise your special attack and your special defense. As I said, it's a viable move just to raise up your special attack, and also it gives you a bit more special bulk, but it's not too much. It's not that much to rely on. You don't want to just say, okay, I'm going to Calm Mind and get my special defense up and then set up on them, whatever, I don't know. Really, it's just for the special attack boost as well as the, you know, the special defense boost just being an extra thing there. Then we have Psychic, which can be learned at level 46 in X and Y, level 38 in Auras, so almost, or pretty much exactly 8 levels earlier before Calm Mind, or via TM29. Psychic is a very powerful Psychic type move, especially obviously special attacking, and that's going to be sort of, you could say it's as Alakazam's main move almost. It's just going to hit things for lots of damage, get stab on it, etc. So that's your, I guess, main move. However, we also have TM03 Psyshock, which is the equivalent of Psychic, or sort of a similar equivalent. Psyshock has less damage, but instead of calculating the damage done using your special attack stat and the enemy's special defense stat, it calculates it using your special attack stat and the enemy's defense stat. So if you're faced against a very specially bulky Pokemon, for example, I don't know, Jellicent, I mean, Jellicent's, you know, it's got good bulk in everyone. It's not a good example, but you guys get the idea. Pokemon's got very good special bulk, but the physical bulk is a bit off. It's going to be Alakazam itself. Psychic is going to do less damage than Psyshock, because Psychic is, you know, obviously if they've got a higher special defense stat, it's going to do less damage there, whereas if they have a lower defense stat, boom, just hit her there. So generally the good thing to do, because there aren't any other moves, you know, you can't have like Psychic as your Psychic stab, and then maybe a normal type move as the one to hit via defense. Psyshock is the only one that does that. So the thing a lot of people do is they switch out Psychic, put Psyshock in there, and they have the other moves as sort of the rest of the coverage. While Psyshock is going to do less damage, it is going to give you the coverage, so you haven't just got 4 special attacking moves. At least one of them is going to be able to hit something with high special defense. Otherwise, if you get hit by a special wall, then you might not be able to do anything unless you got Psyshock, is what I'm basically trying to say there. Then we have TM10 Hidden Power, which obviously, you know, it depends. Whatever type it's going to be is going to be depend on your IVs, so you have to breed for that. In terms of what you might want to use, your weaknesses are Bug, Ghost, and Dark. Obviously, there are other types that could have those moves, but generally, Ghost, we're going to have a move to cover that in a minute. Dark, also going to have a move to cover that. Bug, we don't really have a move to cover it, so Fire can be a good choice for Hidden Power. Apart from that, I mean, generally, Steel is also going to be a bit of a tricky thing for you. We're going to have a fighting type move to cover against Steel, but it's not got the best accuracy, so Hidden Power Fire might also be good to cover Steel, as well as possibly Ice, or, you know, just generic coverage. You could try out some things, you could try out a Fairy type, you know, Hidden Power, etc., and see what works best for you, really. Who knows? As I mentioned, we're going to have a move to deal with Ghost types, which is going to be a Ghost type move, TM30 Shadow Ball. Fairly powerful move, it's fairly standard on most Pokemon. And it's going to be your Ghost coverage. Obviously, if you get faced by a Ghost type Pokemon, they have Stab Ghost moves to hit you for very super effective damage, which is not going to be good. However, if you have a ghost move yourself, Ghost is super effective against Ghost, you can bop those ghost type users out if you have the high enough power and high enough speed, obviously. Then I mentioned a fighting type move as well, that's TM52 Focus Blast, which is going to be your coverage for dark type moves as well as other stuff like Steel and Rock, just for a bit of super effectiveness if you need it. TM52 Focus Blast, it's a high power, but it's a low accuracy, so it's not the most reliable move. If there's a better move to use it, it's probably a better idea, unless you need to sort of go for the chance to hit it, and just take a leap of faith, guys, and see if it works. Who knows? Then we have TM53 Energy Ball, which is a grass type stab move, or not stab move, rather coverage move. As I said, just coverage, coverage for water types, coverage for rock types, ground types, just give you another super effective edge, guys. So it depends on what opponent you're up against, really, is what move is going to help for here, but try different combinations and see which one works best for you. Then we have TM73 Thunder Wave. This is used on one of the sets in it, but it paralyzes the opponent. That's basically it, it's going to help a lot because obviously your speed stat is already pretty high. If you paralyze the opponent, they're not going to be faster than you. It's not going to happen, guys. So you'll be 100% chance, 100%. You're always going to be faster than as long as you paralyze them. And obviously I'll talk more about this when we actually look at the set I'm going to use this on. But the final move we have here is TM99 Dazzling Gleam, the new fairy type being introduced Generation 6. This is going to do pretty big damage rather. Obviously, if you're also in a double battle or a triple battle or whatever, you're going to be able to hit the whole team, which is also another point. But Fairy, this is going to be your coverage sort of for dragon types, for fighting types. Obviously, you have psychic fighting types. But you guys get the idea. Dazzling Gleam is a pretty powerful move, and it, especially for dragon types, it can really give you an edge there rather than being just left to use your own sort of normal effective moves, for example. So now we talked about the moves that Alakazam and Mega Alakazam could use. Let's actually take a look at Mega Alakazam. So, there's the Mega Evolution there. It gets some spoons, or gets some more spoons. It already had 2 and now gets 5, so who knows where the hell they came from. But Mega Alakazam, still a pure Psychic type, so no change in typing there. But dimension-wise, it gets shorter. It's one of the very few Mega Evolutions to get smaller, and goes down to 3 foot 11 inches or 1.2 meters, so it gets smaller by 1 foot or 0.3 meters for some reason, don't ask me why. And weight in them weighs the same, 105.8 pounds or 48 kilograms. So really, Alakazam, if we look at the height to weight comparison, it actually gets denser, which is a bit weird, but who knows. I won't go too much into that. Megastone wise, for Alakazam we have the Alakazite, which can be found in Slateport City, and it can be picked up as soon as you arrive. It's in the Slateport market, so you can just pop over and grab it. Alternatively, if you play an X and Y, it can be obtained after you've beaten the main game and gotten your Mega Ring upgraded, and if you go to, I think it's Glittering Cave, not Glittering Cave, Reflection Cave, that's the other one. Haven't played X and Y in ages, man. Reflection Cave between, I think it's 8 PM and 9 PM at night after you've upgraded your Mega Ring. Go there and it'll be in sort of the back cave there, so you can pick it up there quickly. Then, obviously there's your Mega Evolution, Mega Alakazam to Mega Alakazam using the Alakazite. And then we have the base stats. Now, health points and attack and... not defense. Health points, attack and special defense stay the same at 55, 50, 95. But defense gets a rise of, I think it's 20 up to 65. So it gets a bit more physical bulk. So you're not going to get sort of wiped out by one move. It's not going to hurt you too much though, because obviously it's pretty low already. So, there's nothing. It's not that you can then use it as a defensive tank. Okay, it's just a small boost. And then the special attack and speed, or special attack goes up to 175, which is huge. It's huge. It's a very high stat, which means Alakazam is going to be one-shotting pretty much everything unless they're a tank or, have some sort of boosts. Speed also goes up to 150, making you very, very fast, one of the fastest Mega Evolutions out there. There are faster, but you're still fairly fast at 150. Then the ability for Mega Alakazam is Trace, which is an interesting ability, which means it copies the opposing Pokemon's ability. This can be good in some situations, it can be bad. Generally, it's sort of mediocre. You might get, I don't know, you might switch it on the Mega Tyranitar, you get Sandstream. That's technically bad for you because it's going to make a Sandstorm happen. And that's, obviously the Sandstorm is already happening because of Tyranitar, but you're not immune to Sandstorms, so that's going to be bad for you. You might switch into one, maybe it's competitive, I think, which raises special attack if you lower it, or something, if you lower a stat, it raises your special attack, which is pretty darn good for Mega Alakazam. So you might get a really helpful ability, or you might get a mediocre one, which is generally the case, or you might get a terrible one, like, I don't know, Klutz. Klutz wouldn't really help at all, it would just be a useless ability. But certain bad abilities maybe for Alakazam, what could there be? I'm trying to think here. I really don't know. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but you guys get the idea there. That is Mega Alakazam. Okay, so we learned about Alakazam, learned about its typing, learned about what moves it can use, and then we just learned about Mega Alakazam, so let's finally get on to the competitive sets for Alakazam, and then we'll have one for Mega Alakazam as well. So this first set is for basic Alakazam. It's just a basic attacking set. It's the basic Alakazam set you might see around. Moveset wise, we have Psyshock, Shadow Ball, Dazzling Gleam, and then finally Calm Mind or Focus Blast. Ability is Magic Guard, nature is Timid, held item is a Life Orb, and the EVs are going to be maximum special attack, maximum speed, and just put the rest in special defense just to bulk it up a bit there. There's no point in putting it physical defense at all. We haven't got any physically attacking moves, so there'll be literally no point in putting it in attack. You could put them in health points, I suppose, just to bulk up both defenses, but overall it's not going to make much difference. I'd rather just put them in special defense, to be honest. So, what's this set all about? Well, as I've mentioned already, Alakazam's special attacker is about special attacking. So, Psyshock. You could also run Psychic here for the extra power, but Psyshock is probably better, as I mentioned earlier, just so you have one move that can hit a special defensive tank. That's your stab. Then we have Shadow Ball, as I said earlier, coverage against ghost types. Finally, but next, Dazzling Gleam, we have just, again, coverage against different types. You could run Energy Ball here, you could run Hidden Power here. It's up to you, really, this sort of slot. And finally, we have Calm Mind or Focus Blast. Calm Mind if you want to sort of just go for a bit more, bulking up, and obviously raising your special attack as well. It depends. Well, obviously you can't change the moveset in battle, but it depends what sort of role you want to use it in. If you want to just use it to attack, and then end up dying, sure, go for that. But if you want to sort of use it in a battle to find a weak spot on their team, and then say Pokemon can't do any damage, can't set up or whatever, you could switch it in, start a Calm Mind up, or do one Calm Mind, they'll have to switch out, and then you could either do another Calm Mind after that, or you could just use the special attack boost and just destroy their team. It's up to you which sort of method you use this here, but if you don't want that, you have Focus Blast, which is your coverage against dark type moves. You could have both and get rid of Dazzling Gleam, but that's sort of the ones you can mix around. I would definitely recommend always having a Psychic type move and always having Shadow Ball, because otherwise ghost types are going to be a problem for you. The ability here is Magic Guard, because sort of we discussed earlier, it's sort of the best one, and also it's to do with a held item too. Nature is Timid because the speed is what we really need. You could run a modest one, but really I think Timid's the best, just because you need the extra speed, can help you outspeed anything, and with your low defenses that is going to be needed, and generally your special attack stat is high enough to deal enough damage as it is. So, but yes, the held item, the Life Orb, because we have Magic Guard as our ability, we're not going to take Life Orb damage. Pow, which means we're going to be able to get a boost from it, and we're not going to take damage from it, which is brilliant. So, it's not like we can't, if we didn't have Magic Guard, we could use a Calm Mind and then start attacking, but eventually the Life Orb would kill us, whereas Magic Guard, it's not going to kill us. So we have sort of this ability just to deal loads of damage without actually losing any health points or having any downside to it, which is pretty darn good. EVs, maximum special attack and speed, that's basic. We want as much power as possible and we want to be as fast as possible. Rest in special defense, just as I said, to bulk up the special defense a bit more. And that's really it. How would you use a set? Switch in. If you've got the Calm Mind, look for an opportunity to switch in and then use it. If not, just switch in on any good point and then, just attack them, basically. If something comes in that might be a threat to you, for example, something with a Sucker Punch, switch out, and hold it back for later on. Don't waste your big attacker straight away. See how it goes, I guess. Don't be too quick just to give up on a Pokemon. That's what I'm trying to say here. Okay, so the next set for Alakazam. This is more of a revenge set, okay? So we have moveset is Psychic or Psyshock. As we don't have to talk about this. Psyshock is just going to be basically, if you've got a special tank, Psychic can be for the power. Then we have Focus Blast next. This is again coverage against dark types. After that, Shadow Ball, that's your sort of counter to ghost types again, so good job there. And the final move is either Hidden Power or Thunder Wave. You can run Hidden Power for the coverage again, or you can run the Thunder Wave because that is a very good combination, but it's a revenge sort of thing. Say one of your Pokemon has just been killed by a very powerful attacker on their team. You can switch in. You could maybe predict the faster sort of thing. I haven't even finished talking about the set yet. What am I talking about? Okay. Ability Magic Guard. Nature is Timid again for the speed, and the held on this time is a Focus Sash, which is going to come into what I was talking about just then. EVs are the same as last time, maximum special attack and speed for the power and the speed, and the rest in special defense just to give you a bit more bulk there. Okay, so say they got their powerful attacker out there. can switch in. Maybe they're faster than you, maybe they can, do a lot of damage to you. However, you have the focus sash there, which is going to keep you living on 1 health point, okay? So whether or not they're faster than you, it doesn't matter. You can go in, use a Thunder Wave. If they're faster, they're just going to take you down to the sash, and then you're going to paralyze them. If they're slower, you'll paralyze them. There might be a chance they get fully paralyzed, so they don't even attack you, which will be the best option. Or the other option just is that they don't. The other option is that they actually don't get fully paralyzed, and they take you down to the focus sash again. But then, obviously, they're slower than you, and they either have to switch out or they have to take an attack. And considering you're pretty darn powerful, you could potentially be able to kill them in 1. It depends what happens. It depends where we're at, guys. It's all situational based. You guys get the idea. Now, the good thing about having Magic Guard as your ability here is if the enemy has got a Stealth Rock or Spike set up, if they did and you didn't have Magic Guard, you could switch in, you'd lose health points, and your Focus Sash would be nullified, which means this whole thing is just destroyed, because if they're faster, they just kill you before you can get to attack, okay? So Magic Guard is definitely the ability to use here. Inner Focus could be used on the other sets, but Magic Guard is definitely the best here, okay? But that's really this here. How would you use this set? As I mentioned, going on an attacker, I cannot speak. On an attacker, Thunder Wave them if you need to, or if you think you can take them out in 1 turn, and if you're faster as well, just attack them straight up, and maybe you'll take them out, who knows. But yes, this is a revenge killer for Alakazam. Fairly similar, just a couple things different in terms of the item as well. But if we now move on to the last set, which is covering Mega Alakazam. Now, Mega Alakazam, it doesn't have too much variety in its sets. There are a few. You could use a Substitute, something like that. You could use Protect, you could use Calm Mind, but generally this is the basic set for Mega Alakazam, which is your attacking set, okay? Attacks are going to be Psychic or Psyshock, Focus Blast, then Shadow Ball, and then finally Hidden Power, Dazzling Gleam, or Energy Ball, or pretty much any other coverage move. If we talk about anything else in this, I can't remember what other moves I've listed in this video, but anything else you could use, you could put it there. Ability is Magic Guard, because that's the best ability. Nature Timid. Held item here is an Alakazite, because obviously you need to Mega Evolve using that. And the EVs are going to be maximum special attack and speed for the power and the speed, and the rest in special defense just for a bit more bulk, especially considering your special defense goes up when you Mega Evolve. So, first move, Psychic Psyshock, that's your stab. Up to you whether you use the Psychic for the power or the Psyshock for the coverage against special defensive Pokemon. Focus Blast is your coverage to Dark type moves, and it's obviously very powerful anyway. If you don't have it, you're not going to be able to hit Steel types with very good power, because obviously, Psychic or Dark is immune to Psychic type moves, and Dark is going to resist your Shadow Ball, so otherwise you won't be able to hit Dark or Steel type moves, Steel type Pokemon rather, without Focus Blast, so Focus Blast is always good to carry around. The last one again is up to you. You could use Hidden Power for a bit of coverage, or if you want a Dazzling Gleam, you can go for a Dazzling Gleam, or you can go for Energy Ball for the ground type coverage, or anything else you want there, guys. That's your coverage slot. Again, you could put Substitute in there, or alternatively you could put someone else in there entirely, like Calm Mind. It's up to you how you want to use your Mega Alakazam. Try out different sets, see which one works best. Ability is Magic Guard. As I mentioned, it's the best ability because you don't want to lose health points coming into the battle via Stealth Rock or Spikes, okay? And if there's a Sandstorm up, you don't want to lose health points from that either. Or Poison, or whatever, guys. You don't want to lose health points. That's basically the idea of Pokemon battles, not to die. So Magic Guard is going to help you out a lot there. It's definitely better than Inner Focus as well, because as I mentioned earlier, Alakazam is not a defensive Pokemon. So even if you do manage to survive a flinch, or an attack might even kill you before it flinches you, it's not going to be too helpful because you can't take too many moves. Held item Alakazam is obvious because you have to Mega Evolve, and the EVs are fairly obvious as well because you need all the power you can get, basically. So how would you use the set? Well, you switch in, Mega Evolve at suitable points. It's ideal to force a switch possibly, or switch in on a Pokemon that's not very powerful, to actually get a clean Mega Evolution off, and sort of maybe if you're using Calm Mind, get a turn to set Calm Mind up, or alternatively use a turn to lay down the law for your power, and also to get this extra speed boost. It's not too much because your speed is already pretty high. However, the speed boost could be the difference between being faster than a Pokemon or being not being faster, and that might turn the tide of the battle, guys. So know when to Mega Evolve, know when it's the right time as well. Obviously, there's not much of a downside to actually holding off your Mega Evolution, like some Pokemon might have a more helpful ability before they Mega Evolve, etc. But generally Alakazam doesn't have that, so it's better just to Mega Evolve straight away, but obviously to switch in at the right point. Anyway, that is really it for Alakazam, guys. That's it for this set, that's it for Alakazam, that's it for Mega Alakazam, guys. As I mentioned at the start of the video, be sure to tell me down below which Mega Evolution you want to see me cover next week, and then we're back to normal Pokemon, so be sure to tell me down below, and to hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, and also to check out all the other videos on DataDex, or not DataDex, on LumioseStation. This is a DataDex, and it's on LumioseStation, so be sure to check out everything else here, guys. It'd be awesome if you could. But for now, I'll be seeing you next time. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, my friends.